Today on The Real Story, Connecticut's paid family leave program is now accepting applications. The program ready to dole out those benefits beginning on January 1st. Who qualifies and who's paying for it? We're going to break it down with the CEO of Connecticut's Paid Family and Medical Leave Insurance Authority, Andrea Barton Reeves. Plus, the Omicron variant on U.S. soil causing concerns right as we're seeing a spike in COVID cases here in Connecticut and around the country. We're going to bring back Yale School of Public Health's Dr. Albert Coe to break down what we're seeing and what we're expecting during this holiday season. Dr. Coe is our guest. It's all today on The Real Story. Good morning and thanks for joining us on The Real Story. I'm Jen Bernstein. Connecticut is now collecting applications for its paid family and medical leave program. It opened on December 1st, and that day they saw some 500 applications putting their paperwork in. That was as of noon that day. The program will begin at the start of the new year and will allow eligible workers to get up to 12 paid weeks off for health or family-related events, which can include the birth of a child or adoption of a child, a serious illness, or caring for a sick or hurt family member. The amount is based on what that worker earns. So who's paying for it? Well, we're all contributing. If you are working in the state starting in January, you'll contribute to the state's paid family leave program out of your paycheck, which means if you are ever in one of those situations, you can access those benefits as well. So we want to talk about what we're seeing so far with the CEO of the Paid Family and Medical Leave Insurance Authority, Andrea Barton Reeves. Welcome back on The Real Story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
I think I told you this, but I was looking. We had you on last December, so it's been exactly a year. You were kind of getting this up and running and seeing how this program was going to work. Now it's here. People are starting to put their applications in. First of all, let's talk about the paycheck aspect of this. What can employees as well expect starting on January 1st when they get their paychecks?
So the contribution, that 0.5%, that 0.5% of the contribution will continue because that is how the trust fund is funded so that people can receive their paid leave benefits starting in January. Now, for the applications that are being submitted now and obviously throughout next year and through the entire duration of the program, people will get their weekly benefit based on their wages. If they make at or below minimum wage, that person, and they're eligible, they get 95% of their base weekly earnings. If they earn more than that, the formula is a bit more complicated, but no one gets more than 60 times whatever the prevailing minimum wage is. And right now in our state, that's $13 an hour. So the maximum benefit you can get from the Paid Leave Authority is $780 a week. But given that we've had family and medical leave in Connecticut since 1996, and it's been unpaid, although you may be eligible for it because you've worked long enough and you've earned enough hours, this really is very different for people. And they'll be able to access the benefit they've been paying for since January of this year.
And this is anyone who's working in Connecticut, correct?
This is available to most of the employees who work for the state. There are some employers who are exempt from the program, and that includes private schools, municipalities, local and regional boards of education, and some people that work for the state of Connecticut. But the vast majority of employees in the state do contribute to the plan and will be able, if they're eligible, to apply and receive benefits from the plan.
I know there was some discussion around how to collect that payment. Talk about how small businesses and businesses in general are involved in this.
Yes. So I'm so pleased and really grateful to the Connecticut business community because now we have 123,000 businesses that are registered with the Paid Leave Authority. And each of them, through that registration, is withholding that 0.5% from employee wages and contributing that to the trust fund, which now has a little over $300 million in it. So not only is the trust fund as funded as it should be at this stage in our process, employers have really pushed through some very difficult circumstances in order to make this possible for their workers. And we're just very grateful to them for doing that.
And we know that it's been a tough year for certain businesses because of COVID, tough year and a half at this point. So are you getting pushback from any of those businesses or businesses out there who say we just don't have the resources to figure this out?
We do hear from businesses that have significant concerns, and we try to address those as best as we can. The greatest concerns that we hear are that people now will take leave that may not have taken it before because it's paid. Or if they have multiple family members that work in a small business, each one of those family members will try to take leave at the same time and leaving that business very short-staffed. And we understand those concerns, and that's why we're taking this year to try to educate, especially small businesses who may not have had any interaction with family and medical leave before, to really understand how that works and how paid leave works. We've also partnered with the Small Business Development Council so that they could really also help to educate small businesses on how paid family and medical leave may work and where they might find resources to help replace workers temporarily while those other workers are out on leave, and how to manage the return to work process, which is going to be new for a lot of employers.
How are the applications as of now? I know when you guys first opened it up, we had some 500 that day. Where does it stand?
We're at close to 1,000 applications now, but we've had close to 32,000 visits to our website. So we know that people are definitely interested. They're exploring. I don't know how those visits to the website will actually then translate into actual applications, but it's very clear that the word is out, that the application process is open, and people are expressing a lot of interest in participating in the program. As well, they should, because it's entirely employee funded, and employees who are eligible should be able to get access to that fund.
Is there an estimate of the number of people that this is expected to help throughout the year?
Yeah, so we know that about 1.4 million people are actually contributing to the fund through their 0.5% payroll contributions. We do think that our actuarial estimates tell us that somewhere between 85 and 95,000 leaves will be taken in the next calendar year. Now, that could be separate leaves, or it could be leaves taken by people multiple times for different reasons, because you can get up to 12 weeks of leave in 1 year. Now, that number may well exceed our estimates, or it may be lower than that, but the average we know is going to be about 85,000 leaves in the year.
Interesting. You said that this fund is solvent for 5 years. What happens after that? Is this kind of a wait and see game? Let's see how the program goes. Let's see how many people access it.
So in part, it is. We did ask the actuaries to give us an analysis out to 5 years, which is essentially the time period where you have the most predictable data. So there's 5 years worth of data going back to states that have had paid family medical leave. But remember, it's a fairly new program. We're the 8th state, including, and if you add the District of Columbia, to have it. So we really wanted to rely on data from states that had already been administering it. So to go beyond 5 years would really just be speculation. But at this point, even with the highest amount of usage, we still have solvency in the fund. After that, if there are adjustments to be made, the statute does allow for an adjustment in the benefit rate, but there also might be other ways legislatively. We don't know that right now, but as we sit here today, the fund is solvent to be able to pay the benefit rates as they're articulated in the law.
Can you give us an insight into some of the applications that are out there? Is it pregnancy? Is it sick family member? I mean, I'm sure a mix, but is there one that's really standing out as people accessing it or trying to access those benefits right now?
Sure, that's a great question. And I actually did take a look myself because I was quite curious on my own. And it turns out that the vast majority of claims are for families who are expecting their first children or additional children to their family through birth, although you can take leave to have children join your family through birth, adoption, and foster care. And we're also seeing 33% of the claims that have been submitted are for bonding. So that's for babies that have already been born in 2021 and whose parents would like to really spend some significant amounts of time with them in 2022. We did interestingly get one claim for an organ donor, which most people don't know that this paid leave benefit is in fact available if you're donating an organ. So we were really pleased to see that someone knew that that was an option and that they were going to be able to take this leave to engage in that really life-saving procedure.
For sure. Okay, talk
Yeah.
about if your employer has benefits, right? You have maternity or something, or paternity, something along those lines. You can't tap into this at the same time, right?
You actually can. So one of the questions that we ask when you fill out your application, we ask this of your employer, is whether or not you, as an employer, offer any kind of benefit to that person while they're out on their family and medical leave, and whether you intend to ask your employee to access that benefit first and then have us supplement it, or whether you intend to have them come to us first and then you supplement it if that's necessary. But you can most certainly combine those benefits because, as I said, the maximum benefit that we pay is $780 a week. For those that make more than that, they're going to want to try to maximize the amount of wage replacement they get, and their employer may have programs that would allow them to do that.
But you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that congruently. It would be more like if your employer was offering you a certain amount of weeks and you wanted to take more, you could tap into the state fund. Does that?
Well, yes and no. So
Okay.
the maximum amount of time that anyone can take for the leave is 12 weeks. So you can, let's say, for instance, you wanted to take 6 weeks of leave for your own serious health condition, and then you wanted to take another 6 weeks of leave for bonding. You can certainly do that for two different reasons, but there isn't a way, unless you take some form of federal FMLA that isn't covered by the state program, that you can actually have more than 12 weeks of leave. So for most people, for the majority of employees, they will have a maximum of 12 weeks of leave, and they probably won't be able to combine that leave with anything else their employer has to extend it, with some exceptions, of course.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. So where do we go from here? You just watch these applications come in, and is it about kind of at this point letting people know that this is out there?
Yes, and so we've updated our website, which we continue to do, so that the call-in number is right up front, and you can also apply online. And we had 200 people apply online between 8 a.m. and 9:30 yesterday. So we know that people have been sitting and watching and knowing that this is definitely something that they can do. And we're just waiting to see what happens. So our partner is AFLAC, which many people are familiar with through their ubiquitous duck. So they have been taking in the calls, taking in the claims, answering lots of questions that people have just about the program in general. And we're prepared. We're prepared.
Andrea, Barton, Reeves, thank you so much for coming back on The Real Story and explaining the program. And certainly if someone's at home watching this and wants to take a look, check out, what's the website for us?
It is ctpaidleave.org.
Okay, great. We'll make sure that's on our website too for when this segment goes on fox61.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right, coming up on The Real Story, COVID feels like it's never ending. We heard more variants would likely come, and another one has. It's here, the Omicron variant on U.S. soil, raising as many concerns as there are questions. So what do we know about this new variant? Yale School of Public Health's Dr. Albert Koh will once again join us to share what we're hearing from the scientific community ahead.